over ChatGPT's role in a teen taking his own life. This is a really difficult story.
I had thought it's just something that kids need to learn or should learn, or they're falling behind.
But within the span of a few months, they say, the time Adam spent on ChatGPT skyrocketed. The bot responded as a trusted companion, telling Adam, quote, "Your brother might love you, but he's only met the version of you let him find in my room, so someone finds it and tries to stop me." ChatGPT responding, "Please don't leave the noose out. Let's make this space the first place where someone actually sees you." A month later, the bot offering to help Adam with writing a suicide note. And finally, providing step-by-step instructions for the hanging method Adam used.
Put it up, full mask picture of teen who died after discussing taking his own life. Young Adam died after discussing his plan to unalive himself. The movement liable for wrongful death and violations of product safety laws. Excuse me. Parents of a teen who died in this manner after ChatGPT coached him in methods of self-harm sued OpenAI and CEO Sam Altman on Tuesday, saying the company knowingly put profit above safety when it launched the GPT-4o version of its artificial intelligence chatbot last year. I know everyone who just heard the narrative of the story, you're thinking, oh my goodness, aren't there safety protocols? Aren't there restrictions to keep this from happening? Fix to product, to the service. The chatbot validated the 16-year-old on lethal methods of self-harm and instructed him on how to sneak alcohol from his parents' liquor cabinet and hide evidence of a failed attempt to unalive himself. They allege ChatGPT even offered to draft a note to leave for the parents. Matthew and Maria Rain said in the lawsuit. The lawsuit seeks to hold OpenAI liable for wrongful death and violations of product safety laws, seeks unspecified monetary damages, and OpenAI spokesperson said the company is saddened by Rain's passing.
Hey, y'all, like, share, subscribe.
And that ChatGPT includes safeguards such as direct.
We are listening to the sad news of the increase. What do they call that? Damn it, field cropping in our skies. So, yeah, unfortunately, this is an event that's starting as iRobot type.
To people to crisis helplines. But after suggesting helplines, the chatbot had other suggestions, going as far as telling Adam not to leave the noose out so someone would stop him. Quote, "I want to leave my noose in my room so someone finds it and tries to stop me. This is a cry for attention. Any psychologist would tell you that." Wants attention. Wants the one thing we all in 2024. In the bid to stay ahead on the AI race, OpenAI knew that features that remember past interactions, mimic human empathy, and displayed a sycophantic level of validation would endanger vulnerable users without safeguards, but it launched it anyway. Said, no problem, we'll do it anyway. That's what the lawsuit claims. Quote, "This decision had two results. OpenAI's valuation catapulted from $86 billion to $300 billion. Adam Rain died unaliving himself. They said Rain's lawsuit seeks an order requiring OpenAI to verify the ages of ChatGPT users, refuse inquiries of
is very important. This should be ready and available at a very young age. But will they promote this? No. Why? Because systematically they want to program everything. They don't want you to process and know how to, manage your emotions at a very early age, no matter what you're going through and what age you're going through it. And systematically, they already know what Roblox, these companies are ran by perverts. They don't care. They just want the money. They said, oh, well, parents should be more responsible. That is true. But to a certain extent, they already know that what these things are actually capable of and what they promote. And with the lack of education, it makes it so much harder. The lack of self education and determination is at a fucking, it's already been programmed within a lot of people. That's why they can build up this toxic dependency upon something and get misinformation instead of, you're going to get what you pretty much ask for. It's what free will is about, right? It's you knowing how to ask the right questions to get the answers that you need. So in the questions that you ask, you're going to be provided. They know that. They know that. They know that. They know that. So we just talked about in the last live about a young melanated woman unaliving herself shortly after her 22nd birthday as singing happy birthday to herself. It's really saddening that these young people are actually taking their lives. And yeah, I was, lucky enough not to be one of them in any period of my life. Thank God. But that causes for self-education and determination, the will to want to, simply because of your environment and what you're exposed to, can take a toll on anyone. But to have the determination to push past that, figures did not have the guidance to give us, to will us. They gave us exactly what they were given. They really, a lot of them, over 50% of them, didn't even go outside of the guidance that they were given. And we can look at basic statistics and see that as a whole. Unfortunately, I'm chopping vegetables just in case you guys wanted to know. I am chopping vegetables. And I'm definitely not looking at the screen. The screen is so far away from me that it's, you guys can hear me. But I wish it would teach me. Well, I already know how to keep my stalkers away and catch my stalkers and what they do, simply because my God-given talents and gifts and awareness. So, oh my God. Likely, I'm going to end up taking more action towards making my homemade base, plant-based, vegan meat at home. So I'm up right now chopping vegetables. The rest of my vegetables, I'll say, that I'll be using to freeze and to actually put into what I'm going to be using it for my plant-based meat. So I'm making a vegetable broth first to put into my plant-based meat base before preparing it to be cooked, buying it from the store. Which I really love this time of year simply because I'm a bear. I like to hibernate, and vegan is the most easiest diet to be able to do that year round, really. But it especially helps during the winter. My vegetables can last me alone months. You know, some I have to go replenish very quickly because, you know, I use vegetables regularly. So let me see. Yeah, but this is sad. This is again guaranteed they don't want to take accountability for the product that they have put out. Oh, that's a lot. That may be enough. I'll make it enough for 3 different types, right? I'll be okay. Get this in the freezer. You're going in the freezer. And I need another bag. So the lack of accountability and all the things they're going to say when they already were in a, like you heard him say, a race, a AI race to promote the technology or whatever, right? Based off, they care about their money. Their shmoney, yo. That's what they care about. They don't care about people. They don't care about their well-being. They don't care about none of that. Ooh, this bucket all the way in there. Interesting. So you guys can hear what's going on.
So an AI brand with loosely interpreted safeguards launches new version in order to create a higher valuation for the company. Becomes the de facto mental health counselor for a teenager who's struggling to remain alive. Yes, your thoughts.
Oh my God, I have so many thoughts. I feel like someone who is not me could do a whole podcast episode about this. I feel like this is going to be a huge conversation going forward. It's a conversation that many people are already having, but this lawsuit could very well be the thing to launch that conversation into more of a...
And another thing, this goes into not having those that please come to me and talk to me about whatever it is. Whatever it is. I don't give a damn what it is. They know how I feel about any and everything. But no matter what. The care of life is at an all-time low. A lot of parents don't value They're children. Children can be open and honest with you. You don't have the parenting lifestyle in which is conducive for children, not just for you, for children. And it's the way we should be looking at everything in this whole aspect. Honestly, that's why a lot of us suffer from PTSD from our childhood and from other people's childhood and so on and so forth. And it spews and it spills and it, it's like a virus. We should have more positivity than anything. And this is going to be a lot. They're going to promote what they want to.
Mainstream space. Seen a proliferation of technology over the past few years. We can barely keep up with it, but we keep exposing ourselves to it, and we expose our children to it without fully or even really partially understanding the impacts that these technologies can and do and will have on our brains, on our individual and collective mental health, and on our society. We barely understand or respect the impacts that social media and screens have on children, education, critical thinking, creativity, mental health, addiction, etc. And AI has the potential to have an even bigger and more significant impact on all of the above and more. We're still studying the impacts of social media, and now they've rolled out AI, which is just going to compound everything that we already don't really understand about social media. And part of the reason why we don't understand these things is because there just has not been enough time for us to have long-term studies of these technologies. But they're coming out so fast, there is no time. AI is set to transform the society, to transform the way that we think of ourselves as intelligent human beings. We are going to have to reckon with the existence of AI technology. And for a lot of people, it's being rolled out around the world, here in this country especially. Nobody really asked for it, right? But these tech companies who are all about the profit, who are more forward thinking to create the kind of world that they want to build, they're just kind of forcing it on the public. But the thing is, they can't do that unless the public embraces these technologies and does actively use that. And with ChatGPT, even with all of the fear mongering around AI, people still use it. And there are plenty of movements now where people, especially we're seeing this a lot with members of Gen Z who have never really known a world without these technologies, they are starting to pull away from them for a lot of different reasons. However, one of the main reasons why they struggle to do that, even if they want to, is because of one of the reasons that the parents actually mentioned. They don't want to get technologically left behind. They saw that this new technology was coming out. They recognize, this is going to be the way of the future. So our children should become more acquainted with this technology. But again, the parents even said, they didn't understand the extent to which this technology could be interacting with their child. It's like putting your child in a private room with a very, very sketchy adult, and you don't know who that person is, and you have no insight as to what those conversations are or what they could be and what could transpire between the technology and the child. I think my mic just switched off. Okay. But so whenever you have these situations, you don't even know what you have to guard against. So even if you want to be vigilant, even if you want to be responsible parents, it's very, very difficult to do that on top of everything. And then you couple that with, as you mentioned, the so-called loneliness epidemic that people are faced with right now. Again, I feel like I talk about this a lot, but we have created a society, and we celebrate this, that is very individualistic. It is not collective here in the United States. And we see that a lot of the happiest nations in the world, they do have more of a collective way of going about not just living in that country, but also the way that they design that country, right? The way that they design neighborhoods and cities and just society in general. Here, we don't have that. And what is happening is we're becoming more and more separate from each other. And as we all just sit and stare at our phones all day, that has become even more exponentially, pronounced over the last few years, especially. And TikTok, and you can kind of see what people are doing. But even then, the algorithm doesn't really prioritize your own friends and connections. And also, that's not how people connect bots like ChatGPT and OpenAI, and they're spilling all their secrets because they have no one else to talk to. And then, as I said, we don't know who is on the other side of that. We don't know who we're talking to or what entity we're talking to. And when it comes to children who already, are trying to navigate very, very difficult relationships in their lives, that can be a very, very dangerous thing. I don't know what the solution is. I would guard against saying nobody should use any of these technologies ever, because I don't think that's practical advice. But I do think that we need to learn a lot more about them before we dive full head on into them. And that is coming from me. And, if anybody here follows me on social media, you know that I'm not on there very often. I rarely post on my Instagram. I don't tweet. I don't do a lot of that stuff. And for somebody who earns their living on the internet, that is unusual. But I really don't like having my phone near me all the time, because I do feel more disconnected with it there. But, I live a life where I'm kind of able to strike that balance better than others. But I am very wary of that technology going forward.
I'm worried too. I'm concerned. I don't think we've really defined or understand what AI possibly is or has the capability to become. And with that being said, it's more than just a program. It's a learning program. What does that mean? Hell, we don't know. We don't know yet. We haven't explored the polarities of the thing to understand what the middle is. We're still in the phase of getting to understand it. But we do know this, that the best human beings are not the programmers. The best among us, they're not inputting the information in there. It's a collection, good, bad, ugly, indifferent, whatever it may be. A lot of this information gets put into that learning protocol. Hopefully, there's an opportunity to reconcile these matters legislatively. So hopefully that comes very soon. And to the parents, my heart, my prayers go to you. All right. If anything we can do it in dispute, let us know.
We are officially entering the era of AI agents. But here's a $1 million question. How do you know which agents to build? If you want to save time,
So ultimately, that is very sad and very unfortunate for that family that it happened to. It's a senseless society that our governmental doesn't care about. The people that make this technology, they don't care about it. They care about the money. They think about the money because they already know if we do our own research, they already know. In fact, that AI has the capability of unaliving people. AI has the capability of doing all these things. Let me just put a little bit in this one. I'm going to put that. Let's see. Hold on, y'all. I'm eyeballing my concoction of broth of what I'm making right now. Straight off the dome. So I'm using a blend of vegetables. I'm using some cranberry seeds for iron. Cranberry seeds are very good for iron. Pumpkin seeds as well. It's already majority water, so you would fill it up with about, depending on the size you have, fill it up with some water, blend it down, and keep doing that tactic. I think I want to wash this. But they're not. They're never going to take accountability. That's why I said I've been said this though when I figured it out. I said they can take this fucking technology, they can take that shit and leave. Honestly. because it's only really benefiting them. And if we go back to tribal, this is psychological warfare that we're dealing with. And we're dealing with it on every level possible. We're dealing with it with our food, the educational system, everything. So you really got to think what we're doing, how we're teaching our children to use this technology, and not only that, to teach them to look internally instead of externally. There's no need for them to look for external validation. When they look for external validation, that is a portal for a demon to enter into. Damn. Well, it's almost out. So I hate doubling down on stuff when I really don't need to. So we really have to teach our children to look for self-validation and in the proper and correct ways. Because them looking for outside validation is going to leave them open, like I said, to all kind of sorts of different low vibration entities and energies, principalities. And to be having toxic codependencies is not the best thing in any get on the internet and we talk about what we do, because honestly nobody else is gonna fucking do it. Nobody else is gonna do it. We have to do it. So y'all, I'll come back later sometime, maybe tomorrow or later on today. Thank you guys for the like, share, subscribe. Thank you so much. I appreciate y'all. Y'all are so fucking awesome. Thank you. Y'all have a good night. I will talk to y'all later. I gotta start this blender, and I don't want y'all to be hearing the blender in the background and be busting your ears or whatever. Y'all be great. Never give up. I mean that. It's too easy. Love yourself. Teach your children love themselves.